Erin Lott, and today I'm going to be showing you the Tejas Indian here in Fair Park in Dallas, Texas.
The Tejas Indian is located in the entrance of the Hall of State, originally called the State of Texas Building. Donald Bartholomew was the designer, making it a premier example of Crate's modernism. It is considered one of the most prime examples of Art Deco. The building is extremely detailed with various amounts of historic details. 59 Texans are represented in the frieze lining the top of the building. Inside is the Hall of Heroes consisting of 6 statues of early renowned Texans. There are also rooms representing each region of Texas by featuring murals associated with each region. Now, the statue itself has a lot of history behind it, giving the history of Texas in its name. Indians were constantly pushed further and further west until they found land that even the English did not want. Soon the Mexicans started to be interested in what is now Texas, and they began to come further north. Both the Indians and Mexicans have huge influence on Texas history. The Tejas Indians are named Tejas, originally by the Indians. Tejas is a Native American word for friend. Once Mexicans started to take over Texas, they started to pronounce Tejas like they would Tejas. Since J and X are both pronounced the same in Spanish, Texas eventually became the state after English took over. Ali Victoria Tennant was the artist behind the Tejas Indian. This sculpture is her most recognized work. The Tejas Indian was designated to be the statue because Texas is named after the Tejas Nation. The Indian's bow is raised to symbolize peace between the Indians and Englishmen. Her earliest training was from Vivian Louise Onspaugh, but she also attended the Art Students League in New York City. Later, she became a member of the Regionalist group of artists when she returned to Dallas. Ali made portrait busts, full-figure commemorative works, fountain pieces, and architectural sculptures. She favored making them out of bronze because of the durability, but she did sometimes use sandstone and marble. She exhibited her work considerably in various Dallas art associations and exhibitions. The Hall of State building is magnificent, located in the center of Fair Park in Dallas. Walking down the aisle of other enormous tall buildings with grand sculptures and a long pool of water between both rows of buildings, the Hall of State lies at the end looking majestic. The centralized entrance is called the Portico of Texas. Limestone is piled 76 feet high. Bronze double doors line the Portico of Texas, with figures representing industry and agriculture of old Texas. The frieze above the Tejas Indian is the symbolic seal of Texas. The 11-foot-tall statue of the Tejas Indian is bronze, covered with gold leaf. The statue is representational in nature, but the Indian is also idealized because of how beautiful and grand he is portrayed. The movement of the statue points viewers to look upward. The viewer starts at the base of the building and moves their eyes upwards toward the top of the building. This Tejas Indian statue can be interpreted as having a structural approach. Structuralism is a method of analysis that is related to cultural anthropology and focuses on reoccurring behaviors. In other words, how our ancestors have affected culture and how it is reoccurring. The reason this statue was built was to give a history of Texas. The artist could not have chosen a better statue to show Texas's culture. The movement of the Indian leads the viewer to look upwards towards the murals above the Indian. Also, the looking upwards symbolizes the bright future for Texas, coming out of the Great Depression. Indians played a huge role in Texas history and now contribute to Texas' present culture. They helped our ancestors learn to hunt, which is now huge in Texans' lives. The idealized form enforces this idea by the definition of muscles in the sculpture. Tejas Indians were also known to be a sedentary people, planter people. Texas has a lot of farmers, so the Indians' lifestyle also attributed to Texans' present stereotype. Like I mentioned earlier, the fact the bow points upward, peace between the Indians and English people is represented. There are many other practices of the Texans' ancestors that are still apparent in today's culture. No one has forgotten the Indian culture because it remains intertwined with ours today. The Texas Hall of State is not very old. The building debuted in the Texas Centennial Exhibition in 1936. It was built in the Great Depression area. The fact this is so shocking is because it was so costly relative to its size. The building cost $1.2 million to build, which made it the most expensive building per square foot in Texas in the time. The Dallas Historical Society has been managing the building and has remodeled it, costing a total of $1.5 million. Being that the Indian is leafed with gold, we can see that it is attributing to the Art Deco era. The gold shows the luxury of Texas despite being in the Great Depression. This statue contrasts with most art during the 20th century, which reflected the poor and needy people and a great effect of the crashed economy. However, the next stage in art is the emphasis in technological advance, Art Deco, which is greatly expressed by both the building and statue. The Hall of State is known as Dallas Historical Society's biggest asset. Most of the Hall of State has been rented out for guided tours. The events held there have been for presidents, royalty, and others for 60 years. 75,000 people visited in the year 1993, and a record collection of 3 million artifacts were held there in 1994. In 1981, the building was recorded as a historical Texas landmark. The structure was originally built as a shrine to Texas history. Each detail has specific meaning into Texas history and culture. Like I've already been talking about, the Tejas Indian is the center of the building, and hence the center of culture. I have already mentioned a lot of the details previously, the decorated bronze doors, the frieze, and murals. The piers surrounding the Indian were carved without capitals because this building is strictly representing Texas, not Greek architecture. It's easy to see why I chose the Tejas Indian. I was drawn to Fair Park because of all of the artwork covering the grounds. Seeing all the historical meaning and references all compounded in one area is a true sight to see. The Hall of State building is centered in Fair Park, looking regal. All the details surrounding the Indian add to the cultural effect. There are Western ideals and representations of life in the Old West. At the entrance stands the beautiful gold statue of the Tejas Indian, contrasting with the blue mosaic in the background. The Indian stands strong and mighty, attracting all eyes. Even though there is not a giant amount of history behind the statue, the Tejas Indians are extremely important in Texas history and name. There is no mystery in the statue. It is near and dear to our past.
Thank you for watching my video, and I hope you learned a little bit more about the Tejas Indian and the Hall of State building and got to see a little piece of Dallas you may have never seen before. Thank you.